Well, hey there, everybody. It's Stuart Rice with Level Up. Hey, I have a discussion for you today. We'll see what you think about it. Water cooler talk. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a water cooler. It could be a coffee machine. It could be anything. Basically, what happens is you have a sale or you have a customer. You go through the sales process. At the end of it, maybe the customer doesn't buy. I know, it sucks. We hate to hear no, don't we? But what happens next? That's the real question you have to ask yourself is, what are you supposed to do next? Now, I have done this in the past as well, where I make a beeline for whatever the public gathering place is, whether it's the sales podium, whether it's the sales desks, or in this case, like I like to say, the water cooler, because that's in offices, that's where people go, is the water cooler. More importantly, the coffee machine. You know what I'm saying. Very rarely do people meet in the bathroom. That's what I'm saying. It's a little odd to meet in the bathroom. Anyway, so you meet there and you want to commiserate. You had a bad sale, you had a bad process, you had a bad situation, and now all you want to do is complain about it. Some people pick up the phone and do it. And what you do is you talk about how that customer wasn't smart enough to make the purchase, or they probably didn't have money, or whatever the situation is. We find all sorts of ways to make an excuse for why the customer didn't buy. And sometimes they're right. But the question is, why are we doing that? Why are we going and talking about how dumb the customer was or how useless the customer was? Or that doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help whoever you're talking to. And most importantly, it doesn't help your future customers. What would be a better conversation to have? Let's change what the water cooler talk looks like. Instead of going over and talking about how that customer just wasn't smart enough or just didn't do the right things or all of those things, let's talk about what actually happened. Can you review all of that sale, all of your process in that situation, and kind of see, maybe I missed a step here? Or, man, I should have said something like this. Or what was that objection that the customer said? And one of my favorite pastimes is actually collecting objections. I love to collect objections because they're all amazing to me. And actually, they're great learning lessons. If you hear an objection, you might hear it again at a later date. So it's worthwhile keeping a collection, like almost a log of all of the really weird objections that you've encountered. But I like to look at a couple different things when I'm done with a sale. First off, was my energy level the same as the customer's energy level? That's kind of a good question to ask. Sometimes we think we're doing a good job with our moving some stuff outside, evidently. We think we're congruent with our energy levels, but a lot of times, especially when it's a sale day or we're excited, our energy level's up here and the customer's down here, and we almost push them out the door. That's something to review. The other thing is, did you happen to catch all of the non-buying cues that the customer had? Were they starting to look at the door at an early time and you just didn't notice it? Were they becoming impatient with your entire sales process? Did they look bored? That's a review of yourself, not a review of the attention span of the customer. Other things you need to think about: did you offer them the right thing? Gosh, you did a great job presenting this, whatever it is, this widget to this customer, but that customer was looking for a what's it over there, and you spent so much time talking about the widget, you really didn't catch on to the fact that they really wanted that thing over there. I've got a perfect example for you. I actually went to a phone store. I think phones are kind of the universal. Everybody has to buy a phone, and everybody has had experiences with it. So I went to a phone store and I asked, what do you suggest? Now, I'm an Apple guy, and be that good, be that bad, that's just the way it is. I'm just an Apple guy. So when I walk in and I ask about, hey, what phone do you suggest? What I want to hear is validation that the Apple iPhone is a really good phone. What I was not, and I'm open to listening to other things. What was interesting was the sales guy just took me over to the Samsung and started talking up the Samsung. Samsung's fine, but I'm an Apple guy. So I asked, okay, well, you're talking about the Samsung a lot. What about the Apple iPhone? And he trashed it. He said, it's overly popular. It's not very good. The Samsung is way better. And I've got bias. Basically, he told me I've been a moron for being an Apple fan for so long. Unfortunately, he lost me as a customer because I walked out because that was the reason. Now, in review, what he probably did was that guy was such an idiot. He didn't understand what a good phone was. I can imagine that was the discussion afterwards. But what he should have done was, what did I do? What did I say that turned the customer? And you can visually see these things. Customers will start looking for a doorway when you start to say something that's off-putting to them. Customers will become very distracted in literally anything else. Their eyes go elsewhere. They're not looking at you and they're not looking at the product. That's a bad situation. If they start staring at the floor a lot, it's time to re-engage the customer. So take this time when you're done with the sale or not sale, and instead of going over and talking about, man, that guy was an idiot, maybe it's time to go over and say, what could I have done better? Is there something I could have done better? And I'm sure some of you do that. And if you do, please leave the comments down there. Let me know. I do this every single time. This is how I've improved. Or, gosh, I remember this one time I thought I had a surefire sale and I totally blew it. I did it one time because my energy level was up here, customer's energy level was down here, and I freaked them out. And in review, I went, oh my goodness, I shouldn't have done that. Now, here's the other flip side. You know how when you make a big sale, you're like, yeah, now I'm going to go brag about it. And we all do that. Let's face it. We all love to go and talk about that big fish we actually reeled in. That feels awesome. My suggestion, do the same thing. In this case, it might be more about what you did right. Is it repeatable? That's the thing you really want to do, is we want to be able to repeat these things. And customers are all going to be different. They're all going to be different until they all do basically the same thing. So what's great about these situations is when you talk about it more, when you make notes, when you do all these things, you tend to retain all of that information much better. And so later on, when you have that customer that has surprisingly some of the same traits or is saying a lot of the same things, you have something in your mental bank to be able to pull out and use with that customer. So you don't have to spend so much time trying to figure out the Rubik's Cubes that are our customers. All right. Well, that was Tuesday, whatever this thing is called. I'm not even going to give it an alliteration. It's just the Tuesday talk that I'm going to give about the article I'm going to be writing tomorrow. So tomorrow there's going to be an article basically that goes a little bit more in depth to what I talked about here. And don't forget, I do have a book coming out, and all of the stuff I'm talking about is going to be in this book. It's a pretty remarkable book. My suggestion, go get it now, because the book is only $1 if you want to help me edit it. So you go on, there's only a couple spots left. I think there's less than 50 spots left for this. But you can go on, get a copy of the book. You'll get the final copy of the book. And if you help me edit it, if you help me out, you're actually going to be in the acknowledgments. So you'll be in the book. And I am very proud of this book. I think it's the best sales book that's ever been written for people who hate sales. And that's almost everybody. So it's worthwhile. Anyway, thank you so much for taking the time to listen. Go check out the book and have a great week.